the amount of water we waste, and reducing your meat consumption is the most effective way to do so. Habitat. Eating animals is the largest contributing factor in habitat loss and extinction. 30% of the Earth's entire land surface, and so much of it is being used for agricultural farming. Much of that is grazing, which is converting land into grass fields, which is the ideal habitat for livestock, which would typically be the host of other natural plants and animal biodiversity. Livestock farming can lead to overgrazing, which can cause soil erosion and, more significantly, deforestation. It is estimated that 1 pound of beef is equivalent to 200 square feet of destroyed rainforest. Eating meat requires 3 times more the amount of land than a vegan diet. You have probably heard about the Amazon rainforest in Latin America. They are going through a lot of environmental threats right now, as the forest is having to deal with illegal and unsustainable natural resource extraction. Cattle ranching, agricultural expansion, climate change, and deforestation are just a few examples. Livestock is responsible for about 70% of the deforestation in the Amazon. The Amazon is the most biologically diverse place on the Earth, with millions of species. Many of them are not even discovered. It is also the world's largest rainforest, and like all other rainforests, they supply us with oxygen, which keep our atmospheres clean and pure for us to breathe. That's why it is vital that we take care and allow our rainforests to flourish and grow instead of letting them die. Greenhouse gas emissions. Climate change is the ongoing rise of the average temperature on Earth's climate. Climate change is primarily caused by the accumulation of greenhouse gases or heat-trapping gases. Meat eaters' greenhouse gas emissions can be twice of someone on a plant-based diet. This is because the majority of gas that is emitted into our atmosphere comes from livestock. Did you know that livestock is responsible for about 15% of global greenhouse gas emissions? Although there are many other factors in why our climate is changing so fast, meat consumption is one of the most critical elements. Since we have the opportunity to potentially help this problem, we should all try our best to make a change.
Thank you, Malu. I hope you guys all learned something from that, and now it is my turn to tell you about the health benefits of sustainable eating. To start, there are several reasons why cutting out your meat consumption or being more conscious about what you can eat can benefit your health. One of the more obvious ones is the prevention of diseases. Your risk of death related to cancer, heart problems, and obesity is reduced by 50% in men and 30% in women when you eat a plant-based diet. The life expectancy of a vegetarian is 8 years longer than a meat eater. There are many other diseases that a meat eater is more likely to get compared to someone with a plant-based diet, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, cataracts, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, osteoporosis, and more. Fruit, vegetables, and legumes are also excellent sources of antioxidants and phytochemicals, which can strengthen the immunity and reduce risks of chronic diseases such as hypertension, heart disease, and diabetes. Next up, we have fiber intake. A vegetarian diet requires a higher intake of fibrous foods. A higher fiber diet has many health benefits. It helps maintain bowel health, lowers your cholesterol levels, helps control blood sugar levels, fights constipation, helps you achieve a healthy weight, and generally helps you live longer. Fiber leaves your stomach undigested and ends up in the colon, feeding your friendly gut bacteria. Some common staple fibrous foods are lentils, beans, and chia seeds. These fibers are necessary for digestion, and without meat, according to one study, a vegetarian intakes almost double the amount of fiber a meat eater does. All dietary fiber sources are vegan. There are multiple visible health benefits. One of them is healthier skin. Generally, fruits and vegetables that we eat are very rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. They are also water-based. If you eat them raw, it can further improve your intake of healthy nutrients. An increased level of consumption will potentially result in clearer skin. Red meat in specific contains lots of saturated fat and cholesterol, which means the consumption of red meat can eventually lead to dull skin. Not only are there physical benefits, but for everyone, like we may all have our own separate benefits from cutting things out of our diets. Like for me, I don't eat any dairy, and that's really helped with my skin and my stomach health. So for you, like you may have your own individual benefits, but yeah, just wanted to share that. This one is a little more self-explanatory, but eating sustainably will give you a feeling of accomplishment as you are feeding and fueling yourself in a way that is not only delicious and nutritious, but also helps preserve our planet and the animals that live on it. A recent study of nearly 1,000 men and women examined the mood impact of consuming dietary antioxidants. Antioxidants are great for our bodies as they protect us from disease and keep us healthy. Plants produce antioxidants. The study found that those who ate 3 or more servings of fruit and vegetables in a day significantly reported greater optimism than those who ate less. Eating lots of veggies also bumps up the B vitamins in your diet, positively affecting mood states.
Now, we thought it would be essential to emphasize the importance of taking your time. After finding out all this information and facts, I'm sure those of you who eat meat or considering converting to being vegetarian or vegan are even keener to start your sustainable eating journey.
We thought we would let you know that reducing your meat consumption or starting a more sustainable diet is a process. Whether you grew up eating a lot of meat or not, it might still take a while to get the hang of things. Around 5% of the population worldwide are vegetarian. That is quite a small number. But what we may not recognize is that it's not always about becoming vegetarian or vegan, but to be more conscious about your eating habits.
Although being vegan or vegetarian is so amazing, and those who are considering or don't know where to start, we are here to help guide you. To have a better understanding of what types of vegetarians there are, first we will talk about flexitarianism. Being flexitarian is someone who is primarily vegetarian but occasionally eats meat or fish. This has recently become very common and is a great place to start. Some people may also just want to cut out red meat, which is the leading cause to health and environmental problems regarding your diet.
Pescatarian is another term that is used to describe someone whose diet excludes meat and poultry but allows fish.
Next is the classic vegetarian, also known as lacto-ovo, although there are many other variations that restrict certain dairy products. Being vegetarian means not eating meat, poultry, and fish products.
And finally, the well-renowned vegan. Being vegan means excluding meat, poultry, fish, eggs, and dairy products, and foods produced by animals. An example would be honey. This is the most difficult, but everyone is definitely capable of it.
There's so many recipes, apps, websites, and of course people who are here to support you and help you become the most sustainable eater you can be. Us for Planet has prepared a PDF booklet for you all. After the presentation, we will send you all an email with the attached booklet. The booklet will include a few of our favorite vegan recipes and a couple essential pointers like websites, restaurants, and stores that we recommend. Now, it's time for Ella to guide us through a cook with me. Ella, the floor is yours.
As you may already know, I'm going to be demonstrating a recipe for some super simple vegan overnight oats. This recipe is one of my favorites and it leaves me feeling very full and energetic in the mornings. It's the perfect recipe for a Monday morning breakfast to give you that extra boost of goodness to start off your week. I hope you guys all enjoy it as much as I do. Before we start, we would like to make sure that everyone is settled, and this may require you to turn off your camera and move to a better space. The first thing that you're going to want to do is ensure that you have all the ingredients, which will be displayed on the screen for the next couple of minutes until we are ready. Okay, great. So if you are going to want to make this recipe for 2 people, then you can go ahead and double it. But first off, you are going to need a 1/4 cup of oats. And then you're going to want 1/2 cup of plant-based milk. In my case, I'm going to be using oat milk. You're going to want 1/2 tablespoon of some chia seeds and 4 to 5 drops of a sweetener of your choice. I'm going to be using blue agave. Okay, lastly, you're going to want a sprinkle of cinnamon, and there are also several adaptations that you can make to this recipe. If you wanted to, you could add some cacao powder, some plant-based protein powder, or even some dark chocolate chips. This recipe will be featured in our Sustainable Eating 101 booklet, which will be sent to you after this event. So as I said before, it's very simple. You're just going to want to add all the ingredients together in a bowl as I have shown, and mix them all together until combined. An adaptation for my recipe is going to be some plant-based protein powder, but you guys do not have to add that. Okay, so you're going to want to mix it until combined. So it'll take as long as it takes for you. And it shouldn't be too thick or too thin, as it'll thicken in the fridge overnight, but you can add more oats or more milk depending on how thick or thin you want it. The chia seeds also help thicken it, so do not add too many of those. May take a while. Okay, once you are done with that, you just want to cover them up and set them in the fridge overnight. I'm going to cover mine up with beeswax wrap, which is obviously eco-friendly. Yeah, so that is all. Super simple, as I said. Yeah, in the morning, you are going to want to take out your oats, give them a stir, and add on your desired toppings. I will usually add on some frozen raspberries, extra chia seeds, sunflower seeds, cacao nibs, and finally a nice big scoop of almond butter. Oats are a great breakfast as you can personalize them differently every morning depending on what you feel like. You can add nuts, seeds, fruit, dried fruit, granola, nut butter, fruit, the list goes on. Not only is this recipe delicious, but it also has health benefits. Oats are a great source of carbohydrates and fiber. They have a low glycemic index, meaning they allow your blood sugar levels to rise slowly, leaving you with lots of energy for a long period of time and leaving you nice and full. Fiber is a great thing to eat in the mornings, especially if you are working out early. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. I am sure you're all very excited to see how they turn out. Now, to finish off our call, we would like to end with a fun Kahoot to test what you all remember about everything we mentioned today. The Kahoot is optional, so if you would not like to participate, no worries, and thank you so much for listening in today. We hope you learned something new, and if you would like to be part of the Usser Planet community group chat, we will include a QR code in the same email that will go out to all the participants with the link of the video from this entire event. Thanks again.
Mallory, I just have a question. Should we do the Q&A before the Kahoot so the people who want to do the Q&A can participate and then go? Okay, so I think we can have a little Q&A section just before the Kahoot. So if anybody has any questions for Malu and Ella about, you know, the booklet or health and fitness tips or their experience with, you know, different recipes and stuff, then feel free to turn on your mic and ask them whatever you would like to.
Or if you feel more comfortable, you can also leave a message on the chat.
I have a question. I was wondering, like, for someone like me who eats meat regularly, to like get into a form of eating less meat, how many like times should you be having meat like a week, and like how many meals of like kind of vegetables and stuff should you have?
I can answer that one. I think it really depends on where you want to go and like how you want to become. And I think, baby steps, you can start as a flexitarian, so start to have fewer meat meals meat. So that might be maybe just cutting out one meal instead of having 3 meals with meat. And maybe that will slowly develop into having only one meal, like meat with meat per week. So it really depends on what you want to do, but there's so many different sources that you can look at and so many different recipes and also alternatives. Like if you really like having a veggie, like a meat burger, there's like Impossible Burgers that taste a lot like it, but yeah.
Oh, and one more question. Thank you. What's like the like most eco-friendly type of meat? Like, is there one certain one, or there's like none of them are good?
I think that it's primarily red meat that causes a lot of these issues. So if you would like to reduce your like environmental impact or health, like improve it because of your diet, I'd say cut out red meat first because that's like a big part of it. And fish is also good and seafood, but yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add to that is you can start off with like a meat-free Monday, and then you can slowly add more days on during the week where you don't get to meat.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay, you first.
Oh, thank you. So with being vegan, does it mean just like the food you consume, or like just products in general, like lip balm or stuff like that?
I mean, you can have. I think veganism is like, if anyone here in the audience is vegan, like feel free to say something. But I think being vegan is kind of like anything that has an animal link to it. So any form of animal products. So even honey. But there's a lot of vegan lip balms or toothpaste or shampoos, and Lush is a really good place to buy those products because like they're very conscious about their environmental impact. But
I think we have a question in the chat. It's a really interesting question. It's what are your favorite vegetarian meals, Malu and Ella?
Okay, I'll start with that. So my favorite vegetarian meals, my favorite meal would definitely have to be this tofu recipe that I came up with, and soba noodles. The recipe for the tofu is actually featured in the booklet, so you guys will all be sent that after. So give it a go and let me know what you think. But no, it's a great dinner. I have it several times a week.
And for me, like, I don't know if I could choose one, but one of my favorite ones is this, I don't think it's in the booklet, but maybe we could add it, but it's like a lentil salad with this amazing tahini sauce and this like baked cauliflower. I'm a really big fan of it and I have it often as well. But I mean, pretty much all vegan recipes or vegetarian recipes turn out pretty good. Just have to find the right ones.
There's also a lot of dessert options which are also featured in the booklet. Things like brownie cookies and freezer fudge. It's actually pretty cool how creative some people can get with these recipes. I discovered one on Instagram that they substituted 2 eggs for sparkling water, and it's fascinating really how you can make these substitutions and still get a just as good product.
Yeah. Ella, there's a question in the chat and I think you'd have a good response to it. What are some of the vegetarian or vegan restaurants you guys suggest?
Oh, awesome. Okay, so we have posted about this on Instagram before, and it'll also be featured in the booklet. But some of our favorites would definitely have to be Treehouse, Pop Vegan, Fresca, Super Bowl. Malu, have you got any you want to add?
No, I think those are the main ones that we go to.
Yeah,
or that
we have it featured in the book, as I said before. And
I mean, there's a lot of restaurants nowadays that have good vegan or vegetarian options, and Beef and Liberty have a lot of vegan burger options that are pretty good. But yeah, I think it's not as hard as everyone thinks it is. Like, you just have to find the right people to help you and the right sources. So that's why we hope to help you with the booklet and everything.
there's also some great places like Sweet Pea Cafe and the Cakery where you can get vegan cakes. One year for my birthday, I had a cake from Sweet Pea Cafe and it was amazing. Everything's vegan and they taste even better than a cake that wouldn't have been vegan. So definitely recommend that. They're all in around, there's quite a few like little cafes in around Central as well. So if you live there, spend your Saturday exploring.
And there's another question in the chat. My parents doubt me having a vegan diet, thinking it would lead to protein and iron deficiency. How could I persuade them? I think what I would respond to that is, like do some research about different vegan sources of iron and protein, because there are a lot. You just have to find the right ones, and maybe even make like a small presentation for them just to like really captivate them and show that you really want to become vegan, because there are so many, like we have access to so many different websites and information, so it's just a matter of finding them, and it's very possible. Like there's so many vegans, so reach out to someone that's vegan that you know, or find a website. But
Yeah, there's a lot of like extra nutrients and probiotics you can take alongside the food that you eat to up your levels of these vitamins and minerals that you need. Another option is a plant-based protein powder to get the extra protein. You can add that to smoothies and oats as I did, but it really is up to you. But yeah, definitely do your research. There's lots of really great websites to help you with that.
I think we have another question in the chat. So the question is, what's the most difficult part of being a vegan? I think we can extend that to being vegetarian as well.
I mean, I've been vegetarian for like almost 9 years. So I think one of the most difficult things is traveling to like certain places. Like although Hong Kong, in my opinion, is actually pretty like, there's a lot of vegan options and at least vegetarian options. But when I go to, because I'm half Brazilian, half American, when I go to Brazil or the US, like where I'm from in the US, it's really difficult to find like healthy restaurants with vegetarian options. So I think what I would say is try and do your research before going to these places, or cook yourself. Like there's so many recipes and a lot of them are really simple. So if you just find have a supermarket nearby, go there, buy some things. It's so you can make a fun activity out of cooking. But yeah, I think that's for me one of the most difficult things. But yeah.
I think, do we have any other questions? If not, I have a question too. So Ella, you're flexitarian, and Malu, you're vegetarian, and you've been vegetarian for a long time. So what inspired you guys to go become flexitarian and vegetarian?
Molly, do you want to start?
So initially the reason why I became vegetarian was because I really cared for animals and I didn't want to kill them. But for around 6 years, I was pescatarian, and then I chose to become fully vegetarian because I read an article about microplastics that can be found in fish. So that scared me a little bit. But I think over time, it really it became mainly for the environmental issues about regarding meat and eating it. So yeah, I would highly recommend becoming vegetarian.
I think for me, one of the reasons I started to really cut down my meat consumption was when, as Molly said, I started to read all these articles and find out about all this. I became a lot more aware, and at the end of primary school, so in year 6. And yeah, I just like, and I'm a lot more like, I'd be a lot more interested in eating a bowl of tofu rather than a bowl of like meat. Like it's just not something, like it's not something that I crave. Like I won't sit down and go, oh, I could really use some bacon right now. Like that's not how I see it. It's more just like, if that's what I have for dinner, that's what I have for dinner. But it will definitely progress into being fully vegetarian. And I already don't consume any dairy, so it's we're getting there. We're getting there.
And I think what Ella said about, like not craving meat really varies on the person. So some people might really like meat because they've grown up with it their whole life. So like I said earlier, like there's so many resources and so many different like veggie burgers you can find. And if you can't find one in your local supermarket, I'd recommend iHerb, although it is like something that you'd have to ship, which isn't very good for the environment. It does have a lot of sustainable products, and I'm sure they would have some like impossible meat or something, but yeah. So
iHerb definitely is a great place to buy all these things. Like they sell lots of plant-based protein on there as well, and all the supplements and probiotics if you are looking to go vegan and you want to take these extra vitamins.
And I think something that could also be talked about is that a lot of people assume that, well, a lot of people know and think that being vegan is expensive, because a lot of the vegan like products and everything are quite expensive. But that again brings me back to, being vegan isn't gonna like you can still have different alternatives depending on yourself and on what you want to eat. So if you can't like afford or get a certain product, it's all right to, I think it's just the matter of being flexible and understanding that you just reducing your meat consumption as a whole is already making a huge change. And I'm sure the people around you are seeing that, sorry, and going to be inspired by what you're doing.
Yeah. Any more questions?
I just wanted to mention something quickly. So we had the last webinar that we had for Astroplana, we also mentioned going vegan and how a lot of families feel that they won't be able to eat their traditional, dishes from their different countries and stuff because you cook it with meat and you can't cook it with just vegetables. But I think somebody mentioned something really interesting where they said that they taught their parents that sometimes they don't necessarily like the flavor of the meat. It's the way that they season the meat and the way that they cook it that they really like, which can also be done on vegetables. So sometimes you cook a dish with meat and you think that you have to have meat for it to taste really good, but sometimes it's just the flavors that you really like, not necessarily the meat. So you can cook it with, many different vegetables and stuff, which is something that's really interesting to try. So maybe you guys could try and choose your favorite meat dish and cook it with, vegetables instead and see how that turns out.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think if there's no more questions, we can go ahead with the Kahoot. And if you don't know how to use Kahoot or don't want to be part of it, feel free to leave. But I'll also explain how to play Kahoot if no one here has played it before. Okay, has anyone here not played Kahoot before? Or maybe you can put a thumbs up in your corner if you have, so I can see.
To put a thumbs up, there should be a little reactions thing at the bottom of your screen or at the top, and you can click on the reaction and put a thumbs up like that.
Okay, so there's a few of you haven't played Kahoot, I believe. Or has I'm a bit confused now. Okay, I'll just like guide you through it. So if you can open Kahoot on another device or on another tab, I'll share my screen. So, I'll just mute. Okay, so in the Kahoot, it will like appear and ask you to put in a game pin. So this is the game pin, and then it'll also ask you your name. So if you could just input that as well. And the first question will be a trial question, but there will be the question and the answers on my screen, and there will be colors and shapes on your screen that will correspond to the answers. So if you can just click on the one that you think is correct, and yeah, that'll be great.
To get to this website, you can search www.kahoot.it.
Okay. Is that everyone?
I think we have 13 players, so I think we can start. And I'll put the game pin in the chat in case you are still joining and you join late.
Okay. Perfect. I will start then.
Wait, is this question a trial question? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Malu, I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry. I said, yeah.
Can you please read out the question? It'll be easier for us to answer.
Yes, of course. Okay. This one says, how many animals are killed in the meat industry per year?
And Malu, maybe even the options for the answers.
Yeah. Sounds good. Okay. How much water on our planet is fresh? The options are 2.8%, 3%, 25%, and 2.5%.
Malu, can you please read for us which color is which number so we can then vote on Kahoot because we can see the two screens at the same time. Thank you.
Yes. How much can switching to a vegetarian diet reduce your freshwater consumption? So red is 40%, blue is 24%, yellow is 12%, and green is 25.6%. How much more land does a meat eater's diet require compared to a vegan diet? So red is double amount of land, blue is 3 times more land, yellow is 4 times more, and green is 25% more. Okay. How much is livestock responsible for our world global greenhouse gas emissions? Red is 25%, blue is 50%, yellow is 15%, and green is 13%. How many more years do vegetarians tend to live for? Red is 18 more years, blue is 3 more years, yellow is 8 more years, and green is 6 more years. What are some of the health benefits of fibrous foods? Red is lowers your cholesterol levels. Blue is helps control blood sugar levels. Yellow is crucial for digestion, and green is helps maintain bowel health. And more than one, you can choose more than one. What is one of the main physical benefits of a sustainable diet? Red is better hearing. Blue is broader shoulders. How much of the population is vegetarian? Red is 4.5%. Blue is 3%. Yellow is 8%, and green is 5%. What is a flexitarian? Red is primarily vegan but occasionally eats dairy. Blue is doesn't eat meat but eats fish. Yellow is primarily vegetarian but occasionally eats meat or fish. And green is eats only vegetables. Good job.
Last question.
What are some of the health benefits of oats? Clearer skin. Red is clear skin. Blue is gives you more energy, and yellow is lower glycemic index. Okay. And
Good
here's
job,
the
everyone.
podium. Good job, N. Okay, how do I stop sharing?
You can just swap tabs to the.
Okay,
Mm.
I think that about wraps it up. So, thank you all so much for attending. We really enjoyed sharing our knowledge and hope you all learned something.
You will soon receive an email or WhatsApp message with the YouTube video of this event. You're very welcome to share it, our sustainable eating booklet, and the QR code for the Us for Planet community chat, where we will share with each other different environmentally related news or articles. If you are interested in more health and wellness related content, be sure to check out my account at elswells on Instagram. It will be linked in the booklet and on the email.
Thanks again, and stay updated for our next event. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Bye, guys.
Thank you
very much.
Have a good night.
Bye.
So much. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, should we? I think that was good, guys.
Good job.
Okay, do you have anything?